All right, today we're diving into a massive shakeup in Malaysia's workplace safety laws. The Occupational Safety and Health Act, the OSH Act, has gone through a major overhaul. And trust me, if you work in Malaysia, this directly affects you. So let's get right into it.
But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever been at work and just felt unsafe? Like really unsafe? And you've wondered, what can I actually do about this? Can I refuse to do this job without getting fired? Just keep that question in the back of your mind, because the answer has completely changed.
Here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at why this whole thing was even necessary. Then, we'll check out the new powers that investigators have. After that, we'll see what's on the line for employers, and then, this is a big one, the new rights you have as a worker. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with what it really means for you. Okay, so first up, a new era for safety. This isn't just some small tweak to the rules. We're talking about taking a law from decades ago and dragging it into the 21st century. You see, the original OSH Act from 1994 was a huge deal back then. It laid the groundwork for everything. But think about it. How different is the world of work now compared to 30 years ago? We have new technology, new industries, new risks. The old law just couldn't keep up anymore. And here is probably the single biggest change of all: who the law covers. Before, it was only for the private sector, but now it applies to all workplaces. We're talking government offices, statutory bodies, everything. So if you have a job in Malaysia, you are now protected by this law. That's a huge, huge expansion. Now, if you're gonna protect more people, you need stronger enforcement, right? So let's look at how the investigators, the DOSH officers, have basically been given a brand new toolkit with some serious upgrades. Yeah, this is way beyond just showing up with a clipboard. Officers can now demand to see digital records, not just paper files. They can bring in their own gear to measure things like noise, heat, or exposure to chemicals. They can even get an injured worker's medical info directly from a clinic to help their investigation. Oh, and they can put witnesses under oath. This means investigations are going to be way more thorough than ever before. And what if a company tries to stonewall them? Well, the new penalties tell you everything you need to know. The maximum fine for things like not cooperating has jumped from 50,000 ringgit to 500,000. That's a 10 times increase. The message here is pretty clear. You will cooperate. The whole inspection process has more teeth now. Officers can walk in without a warrant if they think evidence might disappear. They can seize whatever they need to, and most importantly, they can issue notices on the spot. An improvement notice says, fix this problem, but a prohibition notice can shut down a dangerous part of the operation, effective immediately. Okay, so with more power for the inspectors comes, you guessed it, a lot more responsibility for employers. The stakes are way higher, and the buck now stops at the very top. At the core of this is something brand new: mandatory risk assessments. This means every single employer, right down to self-employed folks, has to actively look for hazards, write them down, and show what they're doing to fix them. It's not good enough to just clean up after an accident anymore. The law says you have to try and prevent it from ever happening. Now this is one of the most powerful changes in the entire act. If a safety rule is broken, of course the company is liable. But here's the game changer. Step 3. Now directors and senior officers can be charged personally, right along with the company. There's no more hiding behind the corporate veil. Accountability now has a reserved seat in the boardroom. So we've covered the inspectors and the bosses, but what about the people actually doing the work? Well, this new law gives employees some pretty significant new rights, all designed to empower them to stay safe. And it all comes down to this key phrase: imminent danger. The law is super specific here. This isn't about feeling a bit uncomfortable. It means a situation where there's a serious risk you could be killed or badly hurt. This definition is the key that unlocks what's coming next. And here we are, the answer to that question from the beginning. If you genuinely believe you're in imminent danger, you now have the legal right to walk away from that situation. You just have to leave the area and tell your employer as soon as you can. And this is the most important part: the law explicitly says you cannot be fired, demoted, or punished in any way for doing it. This is a fundamental change in the power dynamic at work. So, let's put it all together. What does this all actually mean for you on a day-to-day basis? Let's break down the key takeaways for everyone involved. Look, for employers, the big story is accountability right up to the director level and those mandatory risk assessments. You have to cooperate, and the fines are no joke. For employees, the key word is empowerment. You now have the right to say no to imminent danger, and you're backed up by a much stronger system that covers literally everyone.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, the wider net, the tougher enforcement, the mandatory planning, the new worker rights, you see what this is all about. It's a total shift in philosophy. The goal is no longer just to investigate accidents after someone gets hurt. It's to build a system that stops them from happening in the first place.
Which leaves us with one final thought. The new OSHA Act has, without a doubt, created more rules and responsibilities for everybody. But the big question is, will this actually make the workforce safer, or just more tangled up in regulations? The legal framework is there now, but the real test will be how companies and workers actually use these new tools to build a genuine culture of safety.